You to the June 9th meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit Board of Directors. Tabitha, will you please do the roll call?
Director Brewer,
Present.
Director Budge,
Here.
Director Dickinson, Director Hume,
Here.
Director Kennedy,
Here.
Director Maple,
Here.
Director Warba,
Here.
Director Schaefer,
Here.
Director Cerna,
Here.
and Director Singh Allen is absent, and Chair Jennings.
Here.
With that, we have a quorum of 10 votes.
Okay. It is my desire to request for the agenda order to be changed to hear the closed session item first. And we would then go into closed session.
We can adjourn to closed session. The board will go to the executive conference room, but I'll read the item really quick and then.
Please do.
Item 11.1, conference with legal counsel pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, existing litigation, Gruel versus Sacramento Regional Transit, Workers' Compensation Appeals Board number 160-99689.
Okay. With
And
that, we will adjourn
there's no written public comment.
to closed session. All right. Okay. Want to welcome everyone back to our open session. And I'd like the clerk to do the roll call and read the Metro Cable State Replay Statement.
Director Brewer,
Present.
Director Budge,
Here.
Director Dickinson, Director Hume,
Here.
Director Kennedy,
Here.
Director Maple,
Here.
Director Rorba,
Here.
Director Schaefer,
Here.
Director Cerna, Director Singh Allen is absent, and Chair Jennings.
Here.
With that, we have a quorum of 10 votes, and this meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit District is recorded with closed captioning. The recording will be cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV Uverse cable systems. The recording will also be video streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Thursday, June 12th at 9 a.m. and Saturday, June 14th at 1:30 p.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker card located at the rear of the room and provide it to myself or Adam. Once the item has been called, additional speaker cards will not be accepted. The time allowed for public comment is at the chair's discretion. The timer will chime when you have 20 seconds and then again when your time is up. There was no written public comment received for today's agenda.
Okay. All right. We will then ask everyone to please stand, and I'll ask Director Kennedy to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Chair, I've clearly failed in that assignment.
I heard your booming bass voice.
Thank you.
I thought it was outstanding. Very good. Especially with no warning in advance. Okay. We will now move to our agenda. And I'm still waiting on a member or two to show up, and that member has now shown up. So we will now just move on to the public hearing, it's a public comment.
Do you want to do the consent calendar?
Yes.
Okay. So we have the consent calendar items 2.1 to 2.20.
That's exactly.
And
Any public comment on those items?
yes, we have several public comments. We have item 2.2. There's Helen O'Connell, Barbara Stanton, and Jeffrey Tartagia. And the item is Resolution 2025-06050, delegating authority to the GM to modify, amend, or otherwise revise all Sacramento Regional Transit District Administrative Code sections, board-adopted policies, standard operating procedures, and/or all practices that conflict with Presidential Executive Order 14173 to ensure compliance with the FTA Master Grant Agreement. Helen O'Connell.
Just a minute, board. I'm sorry. I pushed a button and it went the wrong way. Okay, here we go. Yes, please, Jeff.
Chair Master.
I found it. I'm sorry.
Chair Whisper, yeah.
Let's see. I have several concerns about this issue. I'm going to read a statement that I wrote, and if somebody has facts that I have not gotten straight, please let me know. I did read the staff report, and these are my comments. I just read the staff report about the delegating authority to the GM to modify, amend, and otherwise revise the Sacramento regional transit districts administrative code sections and adopt policies towards operations, procedures, and all other practices that conflict with the presidential's Executive Order 14173, ensuring compliance with the FTA's Master Grant Agreement. I personally believe that we should have been part of the lawsuit against the federal government with San Francisco, Muni, and any of the other California cities that are part of the suit. Because we are not part of the suit, the injunction that they have obtained does not apply. However, I strongly believe that the manager, CEO of RT, should not have the ability to sign any documentation that has been amended to follow Executive Order 14173 prior to board actions, because the board may or may not agree with the CEO's interpretation of the amendments made to current documents. They should have the opportunity to independently review each change to each document before the CEO finalizes anything and submits it to the FTA. Therefore, board approval should be happening before and not after the CEO changes the documents in any way to comply with the
Time is
executive
up.
order. Oh. I was under the impression that it was, because it was a matter that was on the agenda, the 2-minute rule does not apply. No? I stand corrected.
I think we got the gist of it, Heather.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Barbara Stanton.
Good afternoon.
Button, okay. Here I am, okay. For 24 years, Ridership for the Masses has advocated for on-time, safe, affordable, integrated, and accessible, user-friendly public transportation. And we are not going to stop that anytime soon. We read the staff report regarding 14173, and it raises multiple critical questions without providing adequate answers. For example, how many documents need to be amended, revised, or modified? How will these changes impact the operations of SAC-RT? Will they alter the governance of the board? How will the changes affect drivers and riders? And will SAC-RT be transparent and share these changes with the general public? To us, it's imperative to recognize adhering to EO 141374, right? Will open the door to deeper scrutiny and demands that may be impossible to meet without negatively impacting both employees and general public. We need clarity and accountability to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jeffrey Tartagia.
Well, I'll make it as simple. I believe the board is disavowing their responsibility for knowing what in the world is going on. Right now in Los Angeles, you're having major problems and issues. And as already has been previously stated, it seems like this is after the fact and things need to be addressed with this board before the fact in related to this. Thank you again for your vision of acknowledging that there was an item that needed to be revised, but I don't believe staff and the general manager should be making it so that Henry becomes the scapegoat when this doesn't work out. Board, you need to take greater responsibility in what you're doing and what you're not responding to and answering. And I speak to this as the public. I speak to this as several organizations to you, that this is something that you're not doing, and turning it over and dumping it on the general manager, I think is an abdication of your responsibilities about what is changing and going on with the guard. It was simple and easy to do, but I think you need to not be take the easy way out. That's my comment.
Okay, next we have a comment on 2.10, Resolution 2025-06059, approving the First Amendment to the fiscal year 25 Transportation Development Act claim and authorizing the filing of the fiscal year 26 Transportation Development Act funds. And Rick Hodgkins.
Yeah, and excuse me, FYI, I also wanted to speak on the previous item as well. Maybe I was skipped over, but oh well. But I will say this, because of that, who's our president at the White House, I would also concur and echo with the previous speakers that we need to be very careful here. I don't think Henry should be the scapegoat. That would be one of the most worst mistakes that the board can make. And now onto the Transportation Development Act. I know for years that we've been wanting to get the green line out to the airport. Hopefully that if everything goes according to what we have planned so far, that we can expand and extend the green line out to the airport. I said this one time before, and I will say it again. Actually, I said this, that former Sacramento City Council member, now California State Senator Angelique Ashby, has wondered where we would put light rail. And also the other thing I said before, that which I will say again, is no member of the voting public wants to give RT any more money unless we do something about the homeless first. And I don't mean just build more housing. Thank you.
Okay, and then next we have 2.15. We have Helen O'Connell, and that is Resolution 2025-06065, approving Amendment Number 1 to the Memorandum of Understanding for On-Demand Transit Service among the City of West Sacramento, Sacramento Regional Transit District, and Yolo County Transportation District.
One more time. This one, I'm not sure how this kind of interacts. I was informed just before the meeting that this is just a memorandum to get all these different counties and organizations to get permission to come across the river and use, have drop-off points here. I don't really see any red flags with that, as long as SAC-RT has the ability and the space to do that, and it doesn't impede our services. I don't see any issues, as long as SAC-RT is not expanding our service to their areas, and we don't have enough people to service our area. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Helen, you can keep the microphone. We have 2.18, Resolution 2025-06068, conditionally approving the contract for rental and service portable toilets and hand washing stations with Area Portable Services, Inc.
Okay, I understand that these toilets and hand washing stations are supposedly meant for employees only. But if you've been on the train from Elk Grove to Folsom and you haven't been able to use the facilities, that could be a big problem. I have suggested before that we try to find some way to have facilities available somewhere, somehow, so that the public can alleviate themselves when necessary at the end of routes, long routes or bus or train. This is a very concerning issue for a lot of people. Thank you.
Okay, and next we have Dan Allison on 2.20, which is two resolutions approving the issuance of an annual student pass to students without a full fare subsidy and delegating authority to the general manager to negotiate and execute student transit pass agreements for the ride-free RT program.
Good afternoon. Dan Allison speaking for Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders. We're not opposed to the resolution and want to see more work done on it, but I have to be honest, we're very disappointed a year later that things are still not resolved. A year ago, the transit advocacy and equity community spent a huge amount of time on this, and everybody said, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. Henry Lee said it was going to be okay. The mayor said it was going to be okay. The council said it was going to be okay. A year later, it's not okay. We don't have full funding for the program. I was told that there is a process going on to try to achieve a breadth of funding, and that's good, but the public wasn't aware of that. Public was not aware of a process. Thank you.
And Helen O'Connell on the same item.
You're going to get tired of me. I really strongly support this program. It has saved many, many young people from getting into the correctional judicial system, and it shouldn't be a threat that you're going to go to jail or you're going to go to juvie because you have not paid your fare to go to school or to work or anywhere else that young people need to go. If this is not upheld, if the funding is not found, we're going to be going backwards. I was so happy when we found the funding and we started this whole program because it stops young people from being put into the system. So if we don't find this funding, I would much rather give up some portion of whatever I get to make sure that our young people are not put into a judicial system. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen.
That's all the public comment on the consent calendar.
Okay. We appreciate all of you for your voices on these matters and encourage you to continue to voice your opinion on all of these issues. I'll now go to my directors and find out from them if they have any questions or comments that they'd like to make at this point in time.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I've got a comment. Director Dickinson?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think it would be appropriate to withdraw item 2.2 and agendize it for an executive session at a future meeting. There are certainly potential litigation elements to this item, and very, very significant policy considerations, I think, embedded in this issue. So it seems to me the board and the staff would benefit from the board having a full discussion of this item in a closed session.
Second.
Okay.
So that's like a substitute motion?
You defend my motion?
That'd be fine. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Motion has been amended. Any further questions or comments?
I
Is that agreeable to the seconder? Okay.
Done. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Okay, so that was Director Maple moved and Vice Chair Singh Allen second for the consent calendar with the exception of 2.2.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions and comments from directors as it relates to any other matter that we've just spoken about? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none, we will now go to our public hearing.
Okay, we have 3.1, public hearing and adoption of the fiscal year 2026 operating and capital budgets. We will accept public comments, and then we have resolution 2025-06057, adopt the fiscal year 2026 operating and capital budget. And Jason Johnson is here to present this item.
Mr. Johnson, welcome.
Good evening, Chair Jennings, members of the board. Today, staff is presenting for your approval the FY 2026 operating budget. There are no changes to this budget for the total dollars in the expenditures and revenues as compared to the May draft that was presented to the board last month. It is a balanced budget. We did, however, make some improvement based on the feedback we received from the public and the board at the last meeting. These improvements did not affect the dollars as noted. I do have those listed here, but I'm going to go through each of these items briefly individually. So actually, there's a error here. There was some changes, and the budget brief is not on page 8. It's actually on page 7 of the budget document. We added this to address some requests to have the information presented earlier in the document. We also changed some of the structure of the items that are, or the information that's presented in this. We broke down the operating revenues a little bit further. In particular, the state and local is now separated out and not as a single category. And then the operating expenditures are broken out by mode as opposed to expenditure category. We also added a quick link at the bottom of this page to go to the budget details. You can click on that and jump to page 18 in the document very quickly, which provides then the revenues and the remainder of the budget details. Then on page 19, the revenue detail, we actually provided a greater level of detail breaking down each of those categories into subcategories. You have the fares broken out to the various types of fares that are received, and then the state and local is further broken down, separating out the different types of funding for Measure A and then for the state that we do receive each year. Then on page 24, we did have the expenditures by mode in the brief on page 7. We further broke that out, or actually provide a little additional information, some historical perspective going back a few years, and provided a pie chart just for some quick visual reference. And then lastly, for each of the capital budget tables, we added a budget remaining column. One asterisk is that we're going to add to the final document before published is that this column represents a snapshot in time and is not meant to be a projection for the future or for the next year. It is somewhat limited in that, but does give you some information as far as how much has been expended to date and what does remain. So it does kind of give you a little bit of an idea as to the progress that we've made on each of these projects. Staff very much appreciates all the feedback that we receive from both the public and the board. We do try to make the changes that we do here. We endeavor to consistently improve the document. It is somewhat of a living document, so we take feedback throughout the year and then try to make those changes as appropriate when we do present to the board or for other reporting. That pretty much concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will take first public comment.
We have Rick Hodgkins.
Well, not having this Rick Hodgkins again, not having a chance to look at the budget itself and not being able to and even if I did look at it, I would note and report that unfortunately I would not be able to understand it as it is not in everyday language. And I understand basic math, but not pie charts and that type of thing. You know, maybe percentages, but I guess you might say that what I'm worried about is, given the state that we all live in, and I mean California, and given our stance on issues, my most biggest concern with not only RT's budget, but also with our state budget soon to be passed by the state legislature within the coming week, is that we will be forced at the behest of the federal administration, be forced to make cuts. and it would be bound, and the cuts would be on the backs of people who are not choice riders, but transit dependent riders. Those are the only cuts that we've made in the past, and it was a big, huge, large mess. And once again, that is a concern I have with regards to the budget. Again, not having a chance to read it and not being able to understand it because not all of it is in plain language. Thank you.
Jeffrey Tartagia.
Well, this is something that goes back in part of my college background. And one of the notes I will see as many times as you have added additions to the budget, I would appreciate in the future that you sum up the total of what adjustment from what you're presenting as the budget right now to next year when you present the budget, what all of those changes total up to, and any possible explanations of why you make 10 different adjustments throughout the year to the budget, capital, or should we say the actual budget. I appreciate the changes that are recognized, and I appreciate the further detail that explain. Now, I think you had one NSA on a page in there or something dealing with a local as an acronym. I don't know quite what that stood for back there. I think it was your first page. But just wondering with the acronyms that you're using in there, you've done a better job of explaining and separating out the things, but would appreciate for the public knowing what is happening and how come we have so many changes throughout the year in making adjustments. That's my comment.
Helen O'Connell.
This is going to be a praise. I am so thankful that I was able to participate in a workshop, and it was about, your wish list and how you think we should adjust things, and it was very informative. It was a workshop on Zoom, and I appreciate the advanced notice so that people would be able to adjust their calendars to make it into one of the workshops and there are many, so that's a good thing. I'm not sure if this is the place where I could ask a question. What was it? Oh, the analyzing of infrastructure and operations expense surplus. I was supposed to get an update on that, and I haven't gotten it, and I don't know where to go to find out. That was in December, and I would like an update when that is going to happen or what the outcome of that analysis was. Thank you.
You.
Barbara Stanton.
Oh, no, this is a good thing. Here I am again. As it stands now, Ridership for the Masses commends SAC-RT for presenting the FY 2025-2026 operation and capital budgets without fare increases and without service cuts. Thank you. And hopefully we won't have to do any of that during the year.
And Coco Cocazella.
Thank you. Coco Cocazella, Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders. My discussion will be about the capital portion of the budget. And my impetus for speaking about this has been the last couple of years when I've tried to evaluate the document. I keep coming up against some roadblocks of not having enough context. So this is about setting context. I would like to acknowledge the staff who has very graciously provided their time to me to consider feedback, Jason, Wandamu, and others. So thank you for that. So I think of a capital budget as one facet of a pipeline of oversight and accountability. This pipeline has both static and dynamic parts. Static parts that operate as fixed snapshots in time to be used as high-level frameworks, and dynamic parts that are regularly updated according to evolving projects and circumstances. While the capital budget document may be a static overview of all things theoretically possible given best circumstances, this isn't enough for thorough and accurate organizational oversight. The following must also be provided as supporting communications and ongoing in supporting communications to all stakeholders, staff, board, public. Details that outline how the organization will prioritize what capital projects will be pursued. Details outlining when a fiscal allocation is intended to be used, whether any of a project allocation is not tied to that particular project, organizational impact if project is delayed, and perhaps most importantly, detailed monthly project status reports that dig into both earned value, particulars, as well as engineering escalations that need to be reviewed. Not just marketing type high level, but really in-depth ongoing stuff. I realize that's a lot of info, and I'll continue on that later. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the public comment.
Okay. We'll go to director comments and questions. Hearing none, seeing none.
And I move approval of the two resolutions.
All right, we have a motion for approval of the two resolutions
And I second.
and second Brewer, okay? Additional questions, comments? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstain. Let the record show we are unanimous. Thank you, sir. Okay. We will now move to the next item, item number 4, I believe.
Okay, public addresses, board on matters not on the agenda, and Jeffrey Tardigia.
Well, this is Jeffrey Tardigia, and the first thing I'm going to start to say, Miss Maples, you have a new name. Congratulations on getting married. Now, the next one I'm going to go after is Mr. Rick Jennings.
I didn't change my name.
What I'm going to go after is we wanted July 11th, a Friday, to hold a meeting. And apparently, since we cannot use the Township 9 because of your construction project, I guess we're going to try and use Sac Valley Station to bring blind people and, should we say, wheelchairs and other people to show what are the problems that you still have not discussed dealing with the low floor platform. I sit there and wonder, we're now almost 11 changes, and we still, since the August and September date when we first started, address the fact that the outside overrules with the inside in pressing on the button. Apparently this is a change, but it seems to me like this should be Siemens that should be acknowledging that they made a mistake. You want to get people out of the light rail vehicle before you let people in the light rail vehicle. There's a number of other things that was apparently discussed at the, what was it called? Infrastructure of the MAC committee meeting. I hope the board has seen what that's about through there, because it's not generally released to the public of what's going on through there. And this is mainly dealing with, I think, from Eugene, in possibility of an understanding of what's going on with the both Dos Rios and the 7th Street and a few others. I've got more, but please put on your lovely little item in here. What buses can you use to get to these little things of June, July, August for the transit? And there's nothing on there showing how you would get it other than driving there. Other things like that need to be corrected. And board, you need to be better involved in what's going on and happening. I'll stop.
Thank you.
Next, we have Rick Hodgkins.
Okay, I will try to be as brief as I can. The first of that, which is someone brought up on the previous items about hand washing stations and bathrooms. I would concur because that's a concern I have for facilities for the public as well. On to the next item about paratransit. There was an item I was supposed to speak on back on the consent calendar dealing with an agreement with Paratransit Inc. As I recall, that we are no longer using Paratransit Inc. to provide ADA complimentary paratransit service. We're using SAC-RT Go, and we're using Userve as the contractor. If we're using Paratransit Incorporated's bus lot to park some of our buses there, that's fine. But what else will we need them for? And also speaking of paratransit, along the lines is that unfortunately, I didn't think I was going to be able to make it here today because the driver could not. Every driver that has come to get me lately has been lost and can't find my apartment. Even though I updated my phone number in the system, I've had to update my email address and phone number because I was a victim of identity fraud and identity theft. And even though I have my phone number updated and so forth and so on, the driver couldn't find me, and I asked them to park. I asked them to come around to the back of my building where my apartment is and not park on the other side of the building. So and then also the rest I'll talk to Henry about but my main issue is the paratransit issues and why we're gonna still continue a contract with Paratransit Inc. other than for bus parking spaces, and why do we have a contract with them for everything else in the first place? Thank you.
And next we have Patricia Culpepper.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have 2 points I would like to bring up fairly quickly. The first one is Water 80 Light Rail Station. On the east side, we have bus 93, 84, and 26 scheduled up there, but we don't have the 15 schedule. I think that is necessary because a lot of people want to catch that 15. I have people ask me, does a bus come here? So that is something we need to have added to that east side of the Water 80 Light Rail Station. My second and most important concern is that now that you all are redoing the Water 80 Light Rail Station, the number 1 has to go down in front of the Red Roof Inn to pick up people that the 15 brings up and lets off at the Water 80 station on the east side. Now, when they first started doing it, it was raining. The passengers would have to get off, go back past the freeway where we just came off of and walk down to Red Roof. In the rain, it's cold, we're getting wet. The second thing is, now that it's getting hot and in the hundreds, the bus pulls up, lets us off way up there. We got to get off in that heat, try to get all the way back down across that street. And you know, it's a busy, long light trying to cross there to get over to the Red Roof Inn to get our bus. My suggestion, and some of the people I've talked to from Regional Transit in the risk management department have said that the suggestion I gave was very good. And we do have detours all the time because we're dealing with one coming off of the number 1 around Winding Way, which is out the way. I have to walk 2.5 blocks to get back to my house now because I have to get off at American River. Long story short, we need to take that 15 instead of coming off Watt, go around and come off Longview, detour off Longview, come on around, make a left on Watt Avenue. There's a bus stop right there by Wendy's. We can get off, walk across the street and catch our bus going back to the south. They won't do that. I'm suggesting that some of you all should go out and ride on the buses and see what your passengers are going through, because we're the one out there suffering and you guys are sitting back in air-conditioned buildings not caring about us. Thank you. And I would definitely appreciate it because I have a lot of illnesses, pains, and problems. It's bad for me to jump off that bus and try to run back down there to catch that bus when it's easier to just let us off. God bless you all.
I definitely will do that, but I do want to correct the statement that you made about us not caring about us. I want you to know that we do care, and we're listening and hearing everything you're saying, and we will do everything we can in order to try to make changes. But I do want to let you know we care about every single rider and employee in regional transit. Okay, I want you to see it too. We'll let you see it. All right. Okay, thank you. Any more public?
No more public comment.
And Henry, just for knowledge, all those who spoke on items not on the agenda, can you just speak to how the information is captured by staff? And then we can then move to action at some point in time?
We actually captured all the comments and the feedback. Then we immediately, tomorrow in our executive committee meeting, we immediately go through all those comments and feedback. Then we immediately assigned staff specifically to address those concerns. And majority of the time, we directly talk to our customers and to address their concerns, and also for the concerns, for example, about the budget concerns. In last board meeting, then our finance staff start to make changes and talk to our customers or partners who raise those concerns. And that's why we did presentation for the budget, those additional slides.
I just want to make sure the public understands that each item that comes before us is discussed and put into an action plan so that they can be addressed, so that their voices are not in vain.
And lots of time, staff worked with board members, behind the scenes, email back and forth, and sometimes hundreds of emails.
Okay, thank you. Next item, please.
Next item, new business 5.1, resolution 2025-06062, approval of the fiscal year 2025 annual performance evaluation for the general manager, CEO Henry Lee. There's no presentation for this item, and Shelley Valentin is here if you have any questions.
Okay. Questions, comments from my colleagues?
Move approval.
Yes, we do have public comment.
Okay. Let me get the motion to approve. Member Schaefer, correct?
Correct.
And Member Brewer?
Dickinson.
Oh, Dickinson, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, let's hear the public comment.
Dan Allison?
Good afternoon, board members. Dan Allison, again, speaking for Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders. STAR has become increasingly concerned about all the mistakes that are being made by SAC-RT. And we've sort of delayed talking about them, but we have to talk about them now. On our website, star-transit.org, there is a whole long list of mistakes. I'm going to highlight 4 of them, all related to light rail. The Siemens S700 cars were designed with deployable ramps, even though those are rarely used anywhere in the United States, and they've caused problems ever since. Staff continued to call it level boarding, even when they knew it was not, and even after the cars had been ordered, they called it level boarding. It is not. It requires ramps. Next thing is there are a number of issues with those new LRVs that have not been corrected. For example, the announcements and displays on the Gold Line at 29th Street and 39th have been wrong from the beginning. 9 months, they still have not been corrected. Another thing, the platforms, raised platforms that were designed for the Gold Line, many of them did not meet ADA standards and had to be corrected, leading to a large unnecessary expense because they had been misdesigned. They weren't checked for ADA compliance, apparently, because they had to be modified. And lastly, fulsome service, 15 minutes has never been achieved. Staff continues to talk about 15-minute service, but it's missing one of the 4 per hour. And they continue to call it double tracking, even though they knew long ago that it was just a passing track. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jeffrey Tartagia.
Well, Henry, I'm going to focus on and saying thank you for making sure you hear what's going on with the public. That was missing beforehand, but it is much acknowledged now. Unfortunately, I will say also is apparently more operators know me than know you, Henry. You need to correct that so more of your employees know who you are. You're doing great on the financial part. It's the rest of the thing and wondering in this essential evaluation, what did you find that Henry was deficient in? I asked that the last time you did it. And wondering now, without reading the document, because I had other meetings today to go to in this weekend and everything else, just knowing what are the things that Henry needs to improve upon to make this board better and the reactions to the public better. We have a comprehensive going on right now, and I do not feel, and since James isn't here anymore to say what is missing for the sake of the riders. I wrote, and I will again say, Henry, at the last comprehensive, you did an excellent job to responding to Robert's asking about what would you do with the half-cent sales tax? And James came back and offered about what was being broken down about that and what you're doing. Biggest reason is you got to prove, all of you board got to prove why in the world will somebody take more sales tax, take more money to pay for things when this board has not had a good reputation for Rancho Cordova, for Citrus Heights, and other examples of saying, hey, we're going to give you, sales tax money is going to go for this. And I will end it at that.
That's all the public comment.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor and a second. I will take comments from my directors at this point in time. Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? We are unanimous in this vote. Okay. We will move to the next item.
The next item, 5.2, information report regarding contract change order number 10 to the contract for Dos Rios Light Rail Station with DMZ Builders. There's no presentation for this item. The information is provided in the staff report, and Olga Sanchez Ochoa is available if there's any questions.
Do we have any public comment on the item?
There is no public comment.
To my colleagues, do we have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Director Budge?
Does, when you do a contract like this, does Regional Transit have its own internal construction manager or construction oversight manager? Or do they rely, or do you all rely specifically on the contracted builder to provide a construction oversight? Who's the third party who would verify that number one, the desired goal is going to be accomplished, and number two, that everything is actually built to specification?
Yes, Director Budge, Sacramento staff ultimately is responsible for what is built, but we do have a construction management construction management company that works for us. So ultimately, it is my staff, myself, who are responsible for what is built and making sure that is built to Sacramento standard and acceptance.
Okay, and I have no personal knowledge of it, but I just was thinking about the comments about the goal line, new platforms being constructed inadequately and not to aid. So, thank you.
Okay. So this is an information item, which does not require us to vote on it. So if my colleagues have any other questions, this will be the time to ask those questions. All right, thank you. We'll move on to the next item. I believe is the general manager's report.
That's correct. Point 1.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Board, and the public. Thank you for joining us. To begin my report, I'm excited to report Sacramento had a successful first session of our Transit Idea Exchange workshops. We had over 60 attendees participate in this known as virtually a full house. The workshops are designed to engage community members in discussions examining transit's impact on our daily lives. Jeff actually talked about that a little bit, how we can engage communities. And we will continue hosting various workshops in different parts of the county over the next 2 months. The next workshop will be held at the Nasera Community Center in Carmichael. Those interactive events are the public's chance to share ideas, ask questions, and help shape a transit system that works for everyone, whether you ride every day or not. We hope to get a good turnout and feedback from the rest of these workshops. Then, speaking of community engagement, Sacramento also hosted, by the way, these events, lots of council members or board members, offices, staff will participate in these events. And the same thing, the COA, we're going to talk about. We host a webinar on June 4th, providing an opportunity to the public to help drive updates of both Sacarte's short-range transit and long-range transit plan, with about 55 people joining the webinar. While the idea exchange workshops focus on big picture conversations about transit roles in daily life, the COA takes a closer look at how our routes and services operate. We start to talk to different cities to hear their comments. Actually, we set up a meeting with Folsom, city manager and his staff, week 2 this month to talk about the services and our COA. Then, beginning next Monday, June 16th, Green Line light rail service will be suspended due to construction activities in the rail yards area. We're excited to bring a new light rail station funded by the private partner. Somebody else, a private partner, built this station on behalf of Sacramento. And everybody knows rail yards is one of the largest urban infill projects in the country. Talk about like number top 3, the urban 244 acres in the urban area. And the service disruption is expected to continue through summer 2026, when we hope to reopen the Green Line and a new station. As a result, the Servants and the Richards Township Line station will be temporarily closed. However, we have expanded the bus route 11 workday service to assist impacted riders. The new station is part of Sacarte's light rail modernization and expansion program. In the past few years, we have secured over $750 million from federal and state partners to buy new vehicles, renovate our light rail stations, build new stations, and add track to expand service frequency. After completing renovation on the Gold Line stations last year, this year we began doing fixed station platform renovation on the Blue Line to accommodate low-floor cars, completing the 4 stations. And the work will resume in earlier 2026 as we prepare to renovate the remaining 15 stations on the Blue Line. Just a side comment, we heard several of our community partners raised this issue about the light rail new, the new vehicles and also the new track. There are some shortfalls, and there's a new system like in this big magnitude. There are always some issues for us, and the staff has worked very diligently and hard behind the scenes to address lots of issues, made some significant improvements. However, some of those concerns or issues, like Jeff talked about, still remains in a much small scale. So we're going to continue to work on those. And this, not try to shift our responsibility. This happens in anywhere with big project like this size, $750 million project. And lots of times when we try to do something, for example, for some 15-minute service, right now, we only do 3 15-minute surveys, then out of 4 within an hour. And lots of, when we start implementing that, we received lots of complaints. But after further adjustment, improvements, significant improvements made. And there are lots of good comments we did not really share with the public, and even sometimes without sharing with the board. For example, lots of state workers, they really enjoy 15-minute service, even though only 3 out of 4 15-minute service, because they don't have to wait looking for a schedule times. And last week, SACAC has a board meeting inviting the board members who sit on different transit agencies across the 6 counties. There are multiple people come to me and say, how wonderful how appreciative they are in terms of the 15-minute service for some, because lots of people really enjoying that. And there's some kind of jokes or kind of interesting comment. State workers debate among themselves. Supermajority of state workers feel this really helps. Then very few of state workers, well, we're still doing good the full 15-minute service. And I want to specifically thank board member Robert. She spent a tremendous of time and effort to help connecting all parts of the communities and the staff and the people to say how we can make this better. Okay, I'm going to stop here, and we can talk whole day on that. And then next one, slide 6. Federal update on May 30th, Trump administration released his FY26 budget request or proposal. The budget has $21.2 billion for public transit, a 1.5% increase from FY25 level. That is really out of the surprise, out of many people. The budget request provides $3.8 billion for capital investment grants, or CIG, in FY26, and propose funding for 15 CIG projects in 11 states. Among the 15 projects, our streetcar project, which actually is our library extension to West Sac, is listed. So out of the whole country, only 15 projects were funded, and our streetcar is there. And there are about 56 projects across the nation in the CIG program right now, but with hundreds of projects, if not thousands of projects, being in the pipelines, hoping to be included in the program. And so the inclusion of our streetcar project is a notable and a positive sign for the project. Interestingly, we are supposed to request additional $36 million. We have not submitted a grant application yet. We just talked to them, and they put this into the FY26 project. I guess our board trip to FTA helped on this. And thank you. So next, come to state budget. As part of Governor Newsom's May budget revise, he had proposed cuts to public transit funding. His plan also includes reauthorizing the cap and the trade program beyond 2030 and earmarking $2.5 billion of the annual revenue for high-speed rail and car fare annually. They split this $2.5 billion, half for the high speed, another half for the car fare. And thankfully, earlier today, the senator and the assembly leadership reached a two-party agreement on the state budget today. The agreement rejects the proposal to cut $1.1 billion in transit programs as governor's May budget proposed. So, the new agreement reached out today rejected the cut for $1.1 billion transit program, including the remaining balance of SB 125. So for the most part, the legislature is rejecting the governor's ongoing cap and trade revenue fund shift, and any cap and trade reauthorization will be handled by the policy bill process. So we're heavily relieved from state perspective. The state legislature is expected to vote on the budget this weekend. Then talk about a little bit good thing. Just want to briefly share that at the end of May, as part of the Rancho Cordova's Art in Public Place program, 3 colorful paintings designed by local artists and community members were installed along Lincoln Village Drive, hoping to celebrate community. We tried to ask Director Budge to be there, and we did not get reach out to you. That's our fault. And the colorful artwork beautifies public spaces, celebrates local identity, and most importantly, encourages drivers to slow down while improving pedestrian safety. All three of these crosswalks are adjacent to Sacramento bus stops, as bus route 72 operates on Lincoln Village. We are thankful for this project that puts pedestrians first and reinforce that streets are shared spaces. This and our board members who represent from different cities and county, that's one of the top priorities too. So hopefully this will improve safety for all. This very much concludes my remark, and Mr. Chair, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Would like questions?
Quick comment, Chair.
Please.
I just really wanted to thank you, Henry, and your team for being or participating in the SACOG presentation. I think it was last week or the week before. I found it very, very informative. Excited to hear about all of the work that's happening at the state level to advocate for public transit, and just grateful that RT is a part of that. So thank you.
Thank you. Others? Any other comments? Please.
No, I want to thank you, Henry, for your report, but also for your continued advocacy for improving and strengthening Sacramento RT throughout the region and across the nation. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Others, any? Henry, there's no question in my mind that the work that was done in Washington, D.C. And the team that we put together that went back there to the Department of Transportation had a significant impact, and we can see it now. So you organized that, you made that happen, and appreciate you for doing that. It's very strategic and very well done. So congratulations, you and your staff. Okay. Anything else?
I do have two public comment.
Okay, let's hear.
With Helen O'Connell.
I appreciate the clarity and the openness that Henry Lee has been doing to inform the public on what's going on other places, so that we know what's going on here has been instigated and followed through by Henry Lee and his staff, and the board has been informed in a timely manner so that they are well aware of what's going on. I wanted to thank Henry Lee for being open and willing to hear and address issues. I had an issue with Artico's the map on Artigo. It was due to their way they approach the issues. They have been addressed, and the issue should no longer be an issue. So I'm glad that we had a chance to speak before the board meeting and not just blindside everybody. I appreciate the information that has been given out over the last year. The ability for people to know what's going on is important. And I appreciate all the effort that's been going on to spread the information before it happens. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Rick Hodgkins.
Yes, and to piggyback on the last person, I would also like to add, Rick Hodgkins, by the way, in addition to the brand new Dos Rios light rail station, let's not forget that we also have another new light rail station which is supposed to serve the residents of Rancho Cordova and the Rosemont district of the city of Sacramento, and that's at Horn Road. so that we can't forget about that light rail station either. And also, I just wanted to say that it's a relief that we're not going to have cuts at the federal level or state level, and that the new Dos Rios light rail station is another step towards expanding the Green Line out to the SMF, Sacramento International Airport. I would rather take the train out to the airport than take the bus and, have the, train let me off at Terminal A or Terminal B, depending on where my airline is. Because we all know that there are two terminals, Terminal A and Terminal B. I wonder which one has the people mover. Anyway, great report, Henry. I'm glad that the legislature had the guts to step up and reject Newsom's cut to transportation, to public transportation. So anyway, thank you.
There's no more public comment.
Okay,
I have a comment.
all right, let me hear it, Director Budge.
No, I want to assure Rick that we don't let Henry forget about Horn Road. Rosemont and that area already has like 3 light rail stations to take advantage of, but this one's really important because it's across the street from the library, and it's something like 3 miles between Butterfield and Matherfield Road. So we don't let him forget.
Can I just, responding to one comment from our partner, which is Jeff. Okay, he talked about our board members need to know more. I just want you to know, one of almost all board members I talked regularly. Lots of these comments from you guys and in terms of this library modernization. And one particular board member, I don't want to name his name because he may be pissed off with me, okay? He actually, there are a whole bunch of people from community members from the Fabulous 40, and they raised this issue to him. He writes Sakati buses regularly. He immediately asked us to work with them. The email back and forth, at least 100 email back and forth. He is in there all the time. You may think he may not read those emails. Actually, he read everything because from time to time, he texts me, Henry, you may need to do this. Hey, Henry, you may need to do that. So lots of efforts from our board members put the effort into this. I just wanted to, use this opportunity to just share some, stories.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say, on the transit idea exchange, I'm really impressed with the workshops that are happening and where they're happening. And we need your help to the public. We need your help in making sure that people know that these things are going on, and this is an opportunity for them to share their ideas and experiences, to ask questions and learn about transit's impact on their lives, and help prioritize transit initiatives that work for everyone, whether you ride daily or not at all. And so these workshops are happening on June the 16th at La Sierra Community Center in Carmichael, June the 25th at Pinnell Community Center on Meadowview Road, July the 10th, Citrus Heights City Hall, and July 17th at the Center at District 56 in Elk Grove. So please get the word out. Let all your friends know about this. Come on out. We want to hear the voice of everyone. And so just want to acknowledge that we have these. You guys have done a great job of making an idea exchange session, the workshop, and I want to make sure we get the public out there. Okay, next item, please.
Next item, reports.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm delayed. Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Just on top of that workshop and based off of what Jeffrey said, something that Jeffrey said is we hate to focus on, we like to focus on all the positives that our CEO brings to the table. But in light of all the workshops, his question was, what is missing for the sake of the riders is a good question. What are the little things that maybe we're missing? And maybe the board doesn't hear it, but I would be interested in the staff that is going to these workshops and kind of getting a little feedback on what is that?
Yes, we
And
are.
I know that you're probably conscious of it
No,
already.
no, no, no.
but-
Actually, we actually prepared a very lengthy and a long presentation, try to present to the board that, this issue, this issue, this issue, this issue, and how we have been doing on that. We have all those. We'd love to, have a long board meeting in the near future, just to show, hey, this issue, how we have addressed. I'd love to show those 100 or more than, absolutely more than 100 email exchanges we had with fabulous 40, community members. And I shared this with the board last time in the last day of last calendar year, like 30th December. And we had a meeting with about 20 that community, members here to talk about issue, how to address those issues. So we'd love to share those. That's, very helpful to say, what we have been doing, what we need to continue to focus on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
To that end, Henry, I think that's a great idea because you want to show continuous improvement as it relates to customer service and customer relations. Thank you.
Other comments? All right. We will move to item 7.0.
Okay, we have reports, ideas, and questions from directors and communication. We have 7.1 Mobility Advisory Council Meeting Summary from May 15th, 2025. And I do have a public comment on that item.
Okay.
Rick Hodgkins.
Little did I know that there was a MAC meeting on May 15th, 2025. I know that the one prior to that was canceled, but that this is, I'm just glad that there was one. I haven't had a chance to look at that report either, but want to take this time to, I don't know if I should give my email address out so that, like I said, I had to update my email address because I was a victim of identity fraud and identity theft. But I would like to know when these MAC meetings are and that when they're canceled and that when they're going to be rescheduled. Same with the board. I mean, I already have the board. I already get the board meetings, but the MAC meetings, that would be great because I could address any issues I'm having with paratransit there. And that while we're on the subject of the MAC meetings and the board meetings, I would like to bring up that while the MAC meeting, people can participate remotely. Last week that the state Senate just passed a bill that would allow members of the public that normally would attend city councils and county boards of supervisors and meetings just like this in person to also be able to attend remotely and provide public comment remotely as well. I can't remember what the bill number is, but it passed the Senate last week. Thank you.
There's no more public comment on that item. The next item, 7.2, San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority Meeting Summary from May 16th, 2025.
It speaks for itself. I have nothing else to add.
And then we have 7.3, Sacramento Placerville Transit Corridor Joint Powers Authority Meeting Summary from May 19th of 2025.
Ditto. Supervisor Hume's alternate was there, and so she can't disagree with what I wrote.
All right. Do we have any other matters from the public to address?
That is all.
Okay. And an announcement of closed session items, which I believe we did earlier.
Yes.
Therefore, that is not in place, so we will not recess to closed session. With no other business before us, I will now adjourn the meeting.
So bad for you. We already did.
Yeah. Yeah.